Okay, my name is Dave Delaney. I worked for the company for 30 years in the Forest and the Woodlands Division, and my union that used to represent me was 2693 United Steelworkers. The reason you're here of my lecture today is to let you know that Northwestern Ontario was let down by the Liberal leadership. An investigation must be conducted to find out why and who hired George T. Sarkowski as a labor lawyer in private practice. In private practice, he introduced the new rules to the letter of understanding and held meetings with the company and the union in 2001 on the very issue of the power added to the letter of understanding to undermine workers' collective agreement and suppress the free expression and right to vote and decide one's destiny and the collective agreement in a majority vote. In 2007, Bowater management approached the union workers in the Woodlands Division and with the issue that they wanted to restructure. But management was already working on a fake deficit to inflict maximum damage to workers and the collective agreement by creating massive chaos in the division within the workforce. See this as an opportunity of division and instability within the workforce and take maximum advantage for the termination without compensation, with a savings of $16 million reported by them. I believe exceeded that amount, way, at the Thunder Bay complex in Northwestern Ontario. The union leadership signed a document, in my view, is fraudulent. And they signed a document that was fraudulent because of this letter of understanding, the powers provided to them by George T. Sarkowski as in private practice as a labor lawyer. And they did not inform the bargaining unit. The bargaining unit was given a piece of document to sign, they're given a piece of document and they did not tell them about the date change. And the bargaining unit never even bothered asking questions. They just signed it, believing that that the union leadership can be trusted. The failure of the committee not asking questions and transfer information to the union membership that had a right to know changes to the collective agreement, they remained silent, the bargaining unit. To this day, the union members are under the belief that Bowater had a right to violate the collective agreement, to do changes whatever they feel like it, as they see fit. What they don't know is that their government promoted George T. Sarkowski for performing a good job in introduction of the letter of understanding, doing changes and adding powers to the letter of understanding and doing changes to our collective agreement in violation of the democratic right, our democratic right and a right to vote and a right to decide to have a collective agreement. I initiated an investigation and hired the firm of DeMarco. And the lawyer that took over my case was Ms. Tina Lee. Ms. Tina Lee issued a challenge to the labor board, to George T. Sarkowski, to the company and the union. And I transferred information of my collective agreement because there was a missing piece and how the union violated my collective agreement. I could not determine at the time how they did it, but the lawyer outlined it in my collective agreement, the letter of understanding that was used to violate my contract. And Ms. Tina Lee informed me that Bowater and the union approached the bosses of DeMarco, Howard DeMarco, and and they negotiated a deal that they shut down my case. The firm of DeMarco sold me out, violated the right to be represented and defended, and Ms. Tina Lee disappeared. The extent of this implication of government leadership and the multinational company Bowater and the CEO, former Premier Dave Peterson, it is very clear that exists a motive to create harm. That produces a mass layoff over 12,000 jobs here in Northwestern Ontario. They send Northwestern Ontario's economy into a deep recession. The forest-rich companies and the multinational company form a united front in providing false data to their artificial deficits and milk the governments in billions of dollars. As Bowater, with the capacity to produce and exceed expectations since 1995, over 100,000 tons per day, with the annual projections and sales of exceeding $28 billion annually, the production capacity of this same production capacity up to this date have doubled. Revenues are massive. Management has the capacity to downplay these figures, and on the massive revenues, and in order to pay less taxes to the government. The private contractor crying to the political leadership. They wanted financial help, but the political leadership must know that the private contractors with production capability of 1 million cubic meters per year, and they were getting paid at $58 a cubic meter. Before expenses, they were grossing $58 million. Somebody here is not telling the truth to the political leadership, and the political leadership is not investigating what these contractors are saying. George Siskowski, Ontario Labor Relations Board, must explain this. Must explain and must answer questions. Who hired him in private practice to undermine Northwestern Ontario's workforce? And who provided this job? Why Mr. George was promoted as an arbitrator for the Ontario Relations Board? As he was promoted as an arbitrator because he done all these goodies for the government to undermine Northwestern Ontario's workers? The political leadership must know that Bowater Complex life expectancy was reduced by less than half, considerable, because they divided the woodlands in two. From Grayon on, it goes to Dryden, and from Grayon, it will come to Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay, they have no wood. They just clean up patches here and there. Sooner or later, that complex will be shut down because Bowater made a decision that the massive resources goes elsewhere instead of Thunder Bay, affecting Thunder Bay's capacity to produce and create jobs. While Thunder Bay gives them all kinds of credits, compensation, tax relief, whatever, you name it. Thunder Bay gave it to them. They defended them in Queen's Park. And Bowater came around and betrayed Thunder Bay. The mismanagement. The political leadership must understand the mismanagement of part of the woodland resources. Don't make promises that you cannot keep, because the woodlands resources are depleted. This company here, what it's doing is cleaning up. It's cleaning up in a massive way. And sooner or later, Bowater will exist here in Thunder Bay. It's just a matter of time, because there's not sufficient resources to sustain this company. My name is Dave Delaney, and this is part 1. I will continue on in the next part. Shut it down.